DeMeco Ryan speaks. He answers one question about a rookie, one question about a vet. Let's dive into some of the biggest mysteries, including the two that were solved today live in the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.
DeMeco Ryan speaks, answers a couple of questions. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. Rookies will report this week, be on the scene. For that, myself and Cody Stutes got you covered there. We'll also keep you updated on everything going on with what DeMeco Ryan's had to say today. And my gosh, he answered a couple of questions that we didn't know before today. On the super, shout out to Austin Jack. He is in the building on the soup.
Swarm.
Evening to you, my friend. DeMeco Ryans, though, I wanted to know about the role of Jimmy Ward. And here's what DeMeco Ryans had to say about the role of Jimmy Ward next season. We'll get into it. It kind of feels like a polarizing-ish topic. I don't think it should be as polarizing as it is in the present tense. We'll talk about that. But first, I asked DeMeco about it. Here's what he had to say.
The recovery as well, he's doing fine. He's out of his boot now. He's starting to get back into running a little bit, so he's in a good spot. And Jimmy is a great football player. I love Jimmy. I love how he plays the game. And again, same whenever Jimmy is ready. I know Jimmy can help our football team win games. We saw him make game-changing plays for us, big-time plays in big moments. And whenever he's out there, he'll do it. He's a football player. That's what I love about him. He's played multiple spots in the defense. So I'm excited to see just whenever he's ready, it doesn't hurt to have a lot of good safeties on your team.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that when it comes to what Jimmy Ward can provide on a football team. Now, is there a return on investment? I mean, I think a lot of people would say no. I think that extension looked a little bit strange last year given the timing and the state of Jimmy as a player. But I think DeMeco is right when he talks about Jimmy Ward and the value that he can bring. And quite frankly, the money's already been spent. Does that mean that it was smart money? Does it mean that people think that that piece of the pie should have been thrown in his direction? Perhaps not. But the money has been spent, and Jimmy Ward right now, you're not saving much money by getting rid of him. And if he can be a super utility guy, a guy who can fill in at the nickel, a guy who can fill in at one of the safety spots, a guy who's got experience playing corner, and really a guy that's kind of one of the faces of DeMeco Ryan's trying to build a culture at his first head coaching job, then I think you could do a lot worse than Jimmy Ward. And we got to look at the dynamic between Jimmy Ward and DeMeco Ryan's. When DeMeco went to San Francisco, Jimmy Ward was there, and there were a lot of people in San Francisco who were calling Jimmy Ward a bust. They were saying that he stunk at corner. He needed to be a safety. They moved him to the nickel. He kind of thrived in that position. And as that was happening, the status of DeMeco Ryans and the role of DeMeco Ryans as a coach began to change. He became the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, one of the most coveted head coaches in the NFL. And as soon as he got his job with the Texans as a head coach in the NFL, I brought Jimmy Ward with him. And they've always had an interesting dynamic, playful back and forth about him being a safety or a nickel. And eventually he was a starting safety on a playoff team and a guy who many people on this team consider one of the leaders of the Texans. And DeMeco Ryan still values what Jimmy Ward can do for this squad. And as a result, he brought him back and gave him an extension that many people felt that he didn't deserve. And whether you think that it was the right deal or not, that's what it is. And that's what DeMeco thinks about Jimmy. You can see him whenever he talks about him, just how much he lights up when he talks about Jimmy Ward. It's a very, very strong dynamic. And quite frankly, I'm sure they've bonded because in their football lives, those guys have gone through a lot together. They've done it at multiple destinations and they've done it in multiple multiple roles, and I'm sure they've grown together. I doubt there's too many people, and I know DeMeco's been around the game for a while, and I know Jimmy's been around the game for a while. There's not too many people that either one of them have gone through as much as they've gone through in different roles. So you have that. The other element of this is when it comes to Jimmy Ward is that when we look at the quarterback, we talk about, well, you can be aggressive because he's on his rookie contract. We talk about that all the time. And as a result, like a lot of deals get justified. Oh man, well, they gave so-and-so that contract because the quarterback's on his rookie deal. I think that there's probably an element of that in the secondary. And I might try to ask Casario about this the next time we talk to him. But when you have a cornerback in Kamari Lassiter, who's on his rookie deal, you got Bullock on his rookie deal. Stingley still got time left on his rookie deal. I wonder if as a result of that, you're willing to spend a little bit more money on players like Jalen Petrie, players like Jimmy Ward, and you're willing to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more generous with guys who are culture guys that are depth guys. Maybe these contracts don't get handed out once Stingley's one of the highest paid corners in the league, and once Bullock, if he continues to do what he does, if he's paid like a solid safety, and you have Gardner Johnson. But they might look at it that way. And it might be just kind of a smaller layer of how they're looking at the secondary, much like how they look at the offense and really the whole team whenever CJ's on his rookie deal, because you have three guys in a secondary that are on their rookie deal. So maybe the Jimmy Ward extension was just no big deal to them. I will say this, there aren't too many guys. If you're telling me that Jimmy Ward's going to accept this role, there aren't too many guys that are better served to be able to be reserve safeties, reserve nickels, and whatever the hell Jimmy Ward needs to do. And maybe we're at the point in Jimmy Ward's career where that's something that Jimmy Ward is open to. And if that's the case and you're just judging it on that, I think you can do a lot worse than having Jimmy Ward on your football team. You can do a hell of a lot worse. I don't know. I don't know what other opportunities he's going to get. At this point, he knows his days are numbered. He's been in the league for over a decade. He takes good care of himself, but I mean, he's been unable to stay healthy. So we did get some confirmation. There's been questions about, is Jimmy Ward going to be on the squad? Well, they've already kind of the way in which they've invested in him would tell you, yes, that's probably going to happen. And DeMeco Ryan says he has a vision for him. So there's the update on Jimmy Ward. Now, as far as Tank Dell, DeMeco was asked about Tank Dell. And if anyone's anticipating Tank Dell playing football this year, I don't know that that's really the right approach. I don't think it's realistic. And I think DeMeco Ryans thinks it's unfair. He said as much about Tank Dell that, look, it's unfair to give Tank Dell some sort of time frame right now. Tank's in good spirits. That's the most important thing. And then we'll figure some stuff out. Tank Dell's going to be around the team. Tank Dell's not playing football this year. If he does, it'll be a surprise. But the expectation of him playing football is not something that DeMeco Ryans wants to lay out. And I don't think it's fair to Tank Dell. And he was asked about it. It seems like he's been asked about Tank Dell 8 times now. And this was the most direct. And in fairness, it was the most direct question that he got from Shapiro, from the Shapiro, however he pronounces it, from the Chronicle. No disrespect, but yeah, it was the most direct question. It was the most direct answer. So I don't think it's fair to label or set up a timetable for Tank Dell. Now, on the offensive side of the rock, Cody Stutes, who you hear with me Monday through Friday, 4:00 on SNL. Also can see us right here on YouTube, all podcast platforms, etc. Ersery was asked about, he asked about Ariante Ersery, the Texans' second-round pick. Now, tackle, guard, a lot of people start to speculate and wonder, okay, can this guy be a guy that can play guard and hold it down at guard before he plays tackle? DeMeco Ryans actually gave a really clear answer on this. It wasn't the competition. It wasn't the best 5. It wasn't, we'll see how it goes. He was actually pretty direct on this. Here's the head coach of your Houston Texans talking about your newest tackle.
Our team through the draft really liked his tape in college at tackle. He played left tackle, so we'll start him out at tackle and see how he does there. But my vision for him was always he can help us at tackle.
All right, and right there he says he was at left tackle, and we'll start him at tackle. So he didn't say left tackle. He didn't say he's going to start out left tackle. Maybe we see him at right tackle and left tackle. Maybe we kind of see the similar bit that we saw last year with Blake Fisher, where he's going between the right and the left side, and he's essentially competing for starting spots. But in the worst case scenario, they want him to be ready to go. They want him to be ready to go when he's called upon. So that's what we got from DeMeco Ryans. Those were the nuggets. The business side of things. This new president seems like a good dude. It's very obvious they're not pleased with the current layouts of what they got at the facility. They seem okay with the stadium. It's as clear as upgrades, but having the practice at the same stadium is not ideal. And quite frankly, having to go through hell, which is what it is for them, let's be honest, with the rodeo every year, not ideal. If your office is there and you have to deal with the rodeo, that's absolute hell. And that's what they have to deal with for a large chunk of their offseason when they're trying to get stuff done. Players don't have to deal with it as much, but they have to, and it's absolute hell for them. So they would probably like to be stationed somewhere else. They would probably like to be somewhere where the community is going to embrace them and there can be some development around it. I don't know. I hear about development around NRG. I don't know if that's a possibility right now. There's a space, but I don't know if there's areas or anything like that where you can just develop and put out a bunch of awesome stuff around NRG. But reading between the lines, it kind of feels like they're looking for a practice facility that's somewhere else, perhaps in the burbs. Cal said in the greater Houston area, which is a very large area, but that's what he said. On the chat, Kay Hogan says, how mad was Cody that Ersery wasn't going to play guard? I don't think he was upset. I think he was just enlightened by it. And I don't agree with him on this. I don't need the guy to play any other position except tackle. And if he doesn't play this year, I don't consider it like a wasted pick. Him or Fisher has got to work out for sure. Trading, blaming Jared Wayne for the tank thing. Killer says swarm the like button. Yeah, that would be cool. Trading on Jimmy Ward says Ward is too swarm and his competition is still young. Look, you've paid for it. Like, this isn't a debate over whether you give Jimmy Ward an extension. I think they think of it as having three rookie contracts in the secondary, and if you're paying Jimmy Ward $5 million, then you can do a lot worse. I don't hate that line of thinking, especially if he's going to be willing to take on the role. So there's that. If he's going to be a super sub, more power to him. Why do people keep asking about Tank Dell? I don't know. I think it gets the most attention or something. So it's that, but like, and I don't think you don't ask a question because you know what the answer is going to be. I think that can be a cowardly way for media to not ask questions a lot of times. But in this instance, like, you're not really pressing him. You should know. Like, you should have the common sense to know it's a hell of a long shot for Tank Dell to play football. He had an injury that has ended careers before with an ACL, with an extra ACL injury to go with it. So there's that. But I think it generates a lot of attention locally. It's kind of the Houston guy, kind of one of the fan favorites. So I just think he gets asked about. Dylan says Tank Dell is probably the fourth best wide receiver on this team at his best. Love the guy, but let him heal up. We don't need him bad enough to risk his long-term health. Well, I don't think he would be able to play. Like, I mean, you're not going to be able to come back early from that injury and be 100%. So, and let's be honest, before that Chiefs game, he really wasn't producing much. So, yeah, he's not. They're in no rush. Whether he's fourth best or not, you probably just broke the chat because there's a lot of big Tank Dell fans here. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Sideline Sarah says, I haven't heard Nick or DeMeco mention Blake Fisher this offseason. I don't think they've been asked about him, to be honest with you. I think Nick's mentioned him once, maybe. DeMeco's said decent things about him, but yeah, I don't think Blake people really ask about Blake Fisher, to be completely honest. And I think Nick's was kind of in passing. So yeah, I don't think they've avoided him. They answer the questions they're asked. Sometimes they'll mention guys unsolicited, but no one's asked about Blake Fisher. Someone said Blake Fisher he cannot move to guard. He doesn't seem swarmy. I don't know what that would be based on. Blake Fisher not being swarmy. He's always reading his playbook. They started him last year. He probably needs to come into his own, but I don't know how he doesn't seem swarmy. What does that mean? Like you're talking Tunsil stuff or what? He recovered that fumble last year that I don't think Tunsil would have recovered. He doesn't like give up on plays. I don't know what that means, the Blake Fisher thing. That would be news to me. Where would I like the new area of the Texans? I mean, not Houston. I mean, I don't mind the stadium staying, but the practice facility, I don't think the city of Houston does a good job with logistics, and I don't think they do a good job with road design. So I think for the fan, I think you can do a lot better than what the city has accomplished with them. Katie would be a possibility. Katie kind of sucks to get to sometimes too. Someone's mad about Tank Dell. He's a dog. Yeah, he's good. Just consider Tank the second slot guy in 2026 after Kirk leaves. He won't be back till then and be lucky to be 85% of Tank from his rookie year. Yeah, some would say he wasn't as good as last year. Like he wasn't playing as well. So yeah. I mean, look, if Tank Dell goes out there and even tries to practice, I think it's an accomplishment. So yeah, but we don't know what the Texans are going to do. But we do know that they clearly want a better practice facility. They're clearly open to it, and they clearly brought in the president to kind of start the moving parts on that thing. Again, rookie camp, mini camp is this week. We'll keep you posted on that, let you know what's going on, and give you the latest myself and Cody Stutz. But let's continue talking about these mysteries. What are the other mysteries on defense? It's a pretty clear picture of what the defense is. Like it's not, there's not really a lot of positional battles on the defense. Now we're talking about Jimmy Ward, and Jimmy Ward's kind of one of those guys that you're going to try to fit in and see where you need him, when he fits, how he fits. But that's one of the mysteries on defense. You know who your starting corners are. You know who your starting edge guys are. You have a pretty good idea of what your linebacking group looks like. Christian Harris, I guess you could say, is a mystery. The D-line, there's a little bit of competition there. The reserve corners, I guess you could say, is a mystery. And then I guess what does the Petrie role look like if there is a healthy Christian Harris, and if you feel good about your linebacking group? Is it just going to be, is there going to be a trend? In other words, now DeMeco's there's probably going to be some games where he's playing Petrie more than others. There might be games where he's playing traditional 3 linebackers more than others, but will there be a trend is really the question. Is there a huge financial commitment to playing football the way that they did at the start of last year when Jalen Petrie was in there? But other than that, there's really not a lot of mysteries on defense. It's going to be a really, really good defense. It's going to be a top 5 or top 10 defense. That's really the question. And if that's not the case, then they got some serious problems. 100%. They got some serious problems if that's the case. The starting DTs, your guess is as good as mine. I would assume that Rankins is one of them. And then I don't think Tim Settle starts, but there could be some battles on the inside. But I think Sheldon Rankins definitely starts. I think he would be the guy. But there'll be some competition there. Nothing massive though on the defense. You know the defense is good. Top 5 or top 10. That's really where we're at. It is the Locker Room, number 1 source for Texans digital content. DeMeco solves the mystery. Ersery will play tackle only. And we also now know that he envisions Jimmy Ward on this squad. Not surprising when you really lay it out. Now, offense is the big mystery. And offense is, we don't even know what the offense is. And that's the number 1 mystery of this offseason. What the hell is a Nick Caley offense? What does it look like? How does he adjust accordingly? Like, there's going to be a lot of phases. And quite frankly, there's not going to be any closure or anything like that. You talk about fluid, like Nick Caserio likes to use the word fluid. And I subscribe to the theory that sports are fluid. What's true today might not be true tomorrow. But when Nick Caley installs his offense, we don't know how he's going to handle adversity. We don't know how he's going to handle. Last year, Bobby Slowick couldn't handle adversity. He couldn't handle new faces. Like they were not getting Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins. The offense wasn't really clicking when he had all 3 of those. Then he lost guys. He was completely lost. He didn't know how to adjust. Nick Caley, we don't know. He's going to install an offense. We don't know how he's going to handle that. We don't know what kind of play caller he's going to be. We don't know how he's going to adjust. We don't know how people are going to adjust to him. We don't know how he's going to adjust to people adjusting to him. We don't know how he's going to handle big games. We don't know. We don't know. He says all the right things. He says hybrid. It says it's going to be week to week. Says it's going to be the game plan offense. But we got no freaking idea what this offense looks like. And then you don't know what the quarterback's going to look like in this offense. A lot of people figure, oh my God, the quarterback's going to learn a new system. Okay. I've never really subscribed to the theory that you don't want a quarterback to learn a new system if the system is good. Like if the new system is good and the old system was bad, I've never subscribed to that. It's just as ridiculous as returning starters on crappy teams, which the Texans have. Another mystery, the offensive line. I mean, that is a battle royal of what appears to be just guys. It's the battle royal of Jags. And I'm not talking about Jacksonville, just a guy. There's a Costco bulk of a lot of guys battling for a lot of positions on the offensive line. And we have no idea what it's going to look like. We have no idea who the best 5 is. We have no idea who's going to be playing what position. We have one solved mystery with one guy. And then other than that, there's other guys who are probably going to be playing a number of positions. It's not ideal. It's not great. It's not fantastic. But that's just kind of where they're at when it comes to the offensive line and the offense as a whole. We also don't know who fits in this system, who doesn't. Who has the say, who doesn't. So on the offense, there is a hell of a lot of problems and a hell of a lot of stuff that they got to figure out. I do not envision Jared Wayne making this team. People are asking. No, I mean, it's a tough battle for him. Your first 4 spots are pretty much locked up at receiver, and then after that, maybe your first 5, honestly. Nico Collins, the 2 rooks, Watson, Kirk, and I think Watson's safe. I think they like him, so that's 5. And then Hutchinson, who Casario's had some nice things to say. But other than that, yeah, Wayne. I don't think Wayne makes this team. Wayne's not ready to play. Y'all saw him against Kansas City. He was sliding around like he was wearing slides out there. He looked like someone trying to walk at the ice skating rink in their shoes. Well, no, I don't think he was supposed to make that squad. Isn't Nick supposed to have a hand in the offense, Nick Caserio? I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, it's his guy. They have some of the philosophies that they had in New England, which Nick Caserio was a big part of. I don't see why he wouldn't have a little bit of a grasp of the offense or a little bit of a say. Now, do I think he's going to be on the headset and like being asked to be like an occasional position coach? No, I wouldn't really bet on that. But yeah, I would envision that he probably has a little bit more say. I mean, he didn't know anything about that old system, and he said that. He basically said he was learning on the go. Fifth Ward says he can't wait for the preseason. Yeah, I mean, even then, though, we're not going to know much about the offense. You know, that's the thing. Like a lot of these questions and these mysteries and the way that I'm laying them out, we'll get at least an early grasp. Like we'll probably like a couple games into the preseason have a grasp of what the offensive line should be, at least of what we think it should be, or maybe what it is. And we'll have a grasp of what Jimmy Ward's role may or may not be. Kind of started seeing in camp last year what Petrie was going to be and how they were going to use him. So we'll get that. We don't know about Nick Caley. I mean, just and the best example I can use, and this is I don't think I'm not going to preach patience. I'm not going to tell fans to be patient. I'm not going to say like what the mindset should or should not be. But I do think that if you just look at the offensive coordinator they just got rid of in Bobby Slowick and what the dialogue was like and what the ride was like in year 1 and then what happened in year 2. It takes some time to get to know the offensive coordinator. Like if he sets the world on fire, Nick Caley, is that going to cause people to tap the brakes because of what Bobby Slowick looked like in year 1? That's the other thing. Like there's a lot of PTSD when it comes to their evaluation of offensive line, which I think anyone who follows this organization can understand. And then there could be PTSD when it comes to buying in on Nick Caley. Like Nick Caley can look great, but we thought Bobby Slowick was looking great. So that's something to keep an eye on too. Super chat from Rich Boy.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
He says, which is a superior pair of NFL siblings, Eli and Peyton or TJ and JJ? Sorry, Derek. Yeah, Derek doesn't count. It's got to be Eli and Peyton. I mean, they just got the star power. They got the rings, and they play the position that it has a. And oh, by the way, they kind of come from football royalty. My dad was always a big truther of Archie Manning, just because he said his surroundings were so crappy, and he was always if he had what Pittsburgh had, then he would be Terry Bradshaw and win just as much as him. So yeah, I would probably say the Mannings if I had to go there. Someone says the Sharps. Come on, it's not the time for that. The Sharps. Sterling Sharp was a bad mofo. I'm happy to see him in the Hall of Fame. To be honest, very, very happy for him. Shannon, not great. Hopefully, it's not distracting if Shannon's gonna induct. Shannon's still gonna induct him? I would think so. Yeah, he'll be up there, laying low. Not too low though, Shannon. So we'll see how that goes. That's the update from today. Tomorrow on SNL, there was a rumor about a trade that the Texans tried to make. What in the hell can we make of that? And let's try to solve this mystery to the best of our ability. Short one today because, quite frankly, it's a slow news time. We're talking about what guys said on a golf course. And we also got a lot to get into this week. Tomorrow, I'll drop another rookie video. I think I'm going to do a 2-piece combo of USC guys. And I appreciate y'all for coming through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. And be sure to always remember whether the mysteries are solved or the mysteries remain, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Hit it, Grifty.
We really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah.